Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Hello and welcome to All for United with me, John Foster, MUFC. We've got a good show lined up tonight. I've got plenty of things to talk about. We're going to start the show on Wayne Rooney's recent comments in an interview he had with his son. Plenty to get into there. Absolutely, that's going to be something that Vicky's going to be getting into at the start of the show. We've got a few other topics as well. A great debate about Cavani, about why is there such a difference between seasons. 100%, absolutely. John's got a great topic. I can't wait to hear this one. How potentially finishing outside the top four could actually help us long term. So we'll get into that as well. Introduce a few guests first. John, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Very well, John. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, always a pleasure, mate. And obviously, people who are watching from the women's channel will not recognise John from All for United WFC. So thank you for appearing on there as well, John. Have my first time I've done a show with you. Nice to meet you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, nice to meet you guys. And I'm doing pretty good. Got the last couple of days off, so I'm gonna enjoy that.
I can see a bit of sunlight coming through there. It looks like good weather where you are. It's been quite bad where we are last couple of days, the last day or two.
It's a little cloudy, but I'll take that over rain and all that shit.
Nice one. Vicky, how are you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm doing all right, yeah.
Good.
I feel like my internet's playing up already.
It was before the show, but it's okay. It's only lasted for a couple of seconds, so far so good. It's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Cool. Ahmed, welcome to the show, mate. How are you doing? You ready to rock?
Very good. I have roadworks going on outside my house, so they've picked a fabulous time to fiddle with the wires. Terrific, isn't it? But yeah, good to be back. I'm looking forward to getting right into the matters at hand.
Excellent. Well, we'll start off with a topic on the thumbnail. It's something that Vicky wanted to bring to the table, so I'll just start it off by giving a quote that Wayne Rooney was said with an interview in the Sun today. I'm just going to read the quote out, and then Vicky just comes straight in with what your thoughts are. He said, "I got offered an interview for the Everton job, but I want to be Manchester United manager. I know I'm not ready now, but I have to plan everything I do to make sure that one day it will happen." Go on, Vicky. Take it away.
Well, I just want to say how well he's doing for Derby. To having the issues right now with that they have with all the money situation and the fact that they had to lose all the points. He's in a relegation battle where you never know. He might be able to win them over. He went to a show I was going to go to, actually, one of Webby's shows, and he done a live audience, didn't he? And what did he say? He says, "I'm not ready now." But all I feel and think is like his son Kai, isn't it? Kai and Ronaldo's son. They're both scoring for the. And can you just imagine in 8 years' time, or I say 6 years' time in my head, that he could be managing Man United with two 18-year-olds, mini Ronaldo and mini Rooney. That would be so cute and cool. Well, it actually wouldn't be cute because they'd be older, but they're cute now. I'm sorry. But yeah, the discussion that he had on Rashford was interesting, where he just basically said he's got to stop living out of his bottom and just admit that he is a full Man United player and that he can go and continue playing for United. He's just got to. In my head, Rashford always just needs to go right down to the basics anyway, because that's where he was. But we'll see what's going to happen with Rashford. I don't know if it's going to sway him anyway with like having these players come and talk about how good he is and how they want him to stay at United, or if it's just going to be a case where he wants to go to Barcelona. So yeah.
Yeah.
Did I need to go anymore?
Yeah. No. I know John will want to always say on this as well. So go on, John.
Yeah, I echo Vicky's thoughts that he's obviously done a very good job at in the circumstances. I think, unfortunately, it probably will go down, but him and his team are fighting very hard to ensure that they remain as close to avoiding it as possible, and he deserves great credit for that. He's got the team and the players playing for him on a limited budget, of course, and limited squad and that. And it'll be interesting to see what job he does next. In regards to him becoming the future United manager, I mean, I watched the Rooney documentary, a few weeks ago, and they were talking about his drive and, to succeed. And obviously, we know full well when he was a footballer for us, he was very good at it. And he always drove the team on with his play. And basically, they were saying that's not changed since becoming a manager. He wants to achieve everything he possibly can, and he'll use the right mental edge and that to drive his teams on. And they're saying that he could become a successful manager, whether that's with United or not, I don't know. It's interesting, Vicky mentioned about him potentially younger Rooney and Ronaldo possibly coming through there. Of course, Sir Alex Ferguson, some played under him at United, didn't they? So I think wasn't that Darren Ferguson, I think. It does show that he is driven. Obviously, we don't know whether he'll be United manager one day, but it will be interesting to see what happens, where he goes after Derby, see if he progresses further in that. And who knows, maybe one day he might be a contender to be a nice job. But at this moment in time, I think it's just a bit too premature to say. But, nobody knows what will happen in the future.
Yeah. Hammer, let's talk about this then, because, it would be great nostalgia and all this kind of stuff. We've seen it with Ollie, didn't work out. We've seen Lampard at Chelsea. Gerrard's doing fairly okay at Villa. Potentially he'll have ambitions to go to Liverpool. Would you like to see Rooney come back at some point?
I mean, yeah, it would be awesome to see at some point. I think one of the things John mentioned there too is his drive, right? His mentality. That would be something that I think no matter who you're going to have in the squad, if you have that mentality coming from the coach, that definitely goes down the whole squad. And then, yeah, I think I would love to see it, but also I think he's going about it the right way, right? I think what some people might have seen with or said with Lampard and even Ole at times was like maybe they got it without any other type of progression in what they were doing in terms of manager and things like that. So like you said, he knows he's not ready now, and whatever steps he's going to have to take, he will, but one day he'll want to try it. So yeah, I think it would be awesome to see, and I think he'd be a hell of a leader as a manager. So
yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I think it's not something I'd like to happen right now, for obviously his own benefit, because we saw what happened with Ollie. I think it's still too raw with what happened to Ollie. Give it a few, give it a few years. There is no rush. But yeah, with his mentality, and hopefully the club will be in a better position back in that future as well, where he can come in. Because the last thing we want to do is ruin that legacy. Like, I don't think Ollie ruined his legacy, in my opinion. However, a lot of fans did turn on him for the, and Ahmed, I'll bring you in on this one. There's such a risk these days, isn't there, that fans are not all fans, but some fans are quite fickle and they forget how good he would have been as a player. I'm just reminiscing the Ollie era. Ollie was a great player for us, but obviously a lot of fans turned on him when he wasn't a great manager. We'd hate that to happen to Rooney as well, wouldn't we?
Yeah, a lot of my memories of Ollie's time at Man United are positive ones, and I try not to let the negative override that. Or I'm sure a lot of fans who try to remind us about how bad it was towards the end, understandably, that's what happened. Didn't get the best out of the players. They stopped playing for him, and yeah, it feels like if we ever went through a phase with Rooney, I mean, this is just hearsay or wishful thinking, but if he were to become a United manager or even go back to Everton because boyhood club and all that, I would imagine if pressures of, trying to manage a club with great expectations would really try to, stifle him or try and, rattle him. And I don't think he's that kind of character that's going to be easily worried about the small things, such as, players trying to make themselves bigger than the team or bigger than the club. And, he's not the sort of character you'd assume to be, a soft touch. I'm sure he's very humble. I'm sure he's very, caring to the players, but obviously we'll let you know when you need to improve, where you have to do better. I can see that kind of manager who will ask for 100% more, and Rooney will probably be one of those kinds of players. He's maybe you'll see a lot of his playing aura obviously now as a manager, and he will carry that into bigger jobs if he ever gets the opportunity. If he wants to come to Manchester United, I do not see, I just do not. I don't think it's a bad idea, him being United manager. I just don't see how quickly he can try and keep United challenging for us for bigger things like the Premier League and the Champions League, for example. I may be doubting him too soon because the job he's done at Derby is amazing, but I think there's a lot more room in his career yet. It's too soon for me to really say if he's going to be a manager who will become a bigger deal down the line. Needs a bit more time. If Derby do get relegated this season, I think it's a good opportunity in League One. Build up that managerial nous, the tactical knowledge. He's already doing it at the Championship, which is an extremely difficult league in the first place, and he's demonstrated it. I think he just needs. If they do go down, he stays there. I do see him needing to use League One as a stepping stone to build up that knowledge and a lot more of that experience at a tough level before really starting to command himself as a future success as a football manager. Might be a bit too soon to think about him in the dugout at Old Trafford shouting a striker on to try and score a goal or two.
But you know what, though? If you had a team around him, and this links in with Stuart's comment here that I was left on screen, to be a top player, you need a physical aura surrounding you. When you walk into a room, people notice Rooney possesses this. I thoroughly agree with Stuart's comments there. And, okay, Rooney's not, in my opinion, he's not at that management level yet. He's still got a lot to learn. He needs to experience a lot more as a manager. But if you do surround yourself with these experienced people, it does kind of help, doesn't it? Vicky, you brought this topic up. What are your thoughts after hearing us lot speak?
Oh my god, I think my internet's playing up. But what made me pick it was when he was saying that he turned down the Everton job, and I always thought he would want to be Everton manager before United. But I think what was it? He said that was my favourite. The whole reason of going into management is to be Man United's manager. My goodness, and so that's what makes me feel like that's what his aim is. And he almost, I didn't know if I was like going to be the biggest fan of Wayne Rooney as a manager, because of the way that, but he's almost like better than understanding players, and he's got a lot of time for them. And I think even though that there was that interesting quote where they were talking about how Rooney and him just argued on and off the pitch, etc. But Rio, but then Rio went to go and see him as a manager, and he says he's just the full package. And it would be interesting to see Steven Gerrard be a Liverpool manager and Wayne Rooney be the Man United manager.
Yeah, absolutely.
Together.
Yeah, it would be great. And we got Tyrone here saying Wayne Rooney should be thinking about managing Everton. I don't think you should ever ask an ex-player to manage United again. Is that because of what happened to Ollie, or just because it didn't work out and we need someone a bit better? Tyrone, get back in the comments and just let us know your thoughts. Oh, go on, Ahmed. Did you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah. For me, I do think it's more the fact that they had to make a decision on him in the end. But I don't think he was, even after 3 years, he wasn't for me given a fair crack. And reflecting on it now, Yes, he came in during a very difficult period where United were 8th in the league at the time, having just lost to Liverpool. Got a very, very good run of form out of them up to Paris, struggled Europa League. Did 1920 season some of the best football I've ever seen from, and looked potentially threatening for the future. Season after, finished second behind closed doors. Didn't make the signings I think he would have wanted. But the my ultimate point really is you need to back the man all the way through. And United will, people who are, I'm going to be honest, cynics of Ollie, will say they backed him, they got him the players he wanted and stuff like that. But every good team needs time. And every time we talk about progress, we think about Jurgen Klopp built 5 years to build Liverpool. Ex-player, sure, but I'm sure it was still learning on the job. What's the difference between Klopp and Solskjaer? Klopp's an experienced manager. He's got all the knowledge. He's gained that experience throughout his career. He's an ex-player himself. The difference being is that he's grown into pretty much knowing how to deal with difficult situations during matches and various other scenarios. I feel Ollie would have harnessed that and gained that over time had he been given the opportunity to build that team more in his image. In the end, obviously, the players run the dressing room and they seem to make, hearsay about things around the club and ultimately hounded him out. And it's, as we referred to earlier with Lampard at Chelsea, and if in the future that is to happen at Liverpool with Steven Gerrard, my fear is obviously the fans will back, most fans, hardcore fans who love the players and stuff, will back the man. But when it gets to the difficult period where their form dips off and they're struggling in and around 6th, 7th, and 8th, and are looking distant to chase top 4, for example, are they gonna really be there supporting him, or are they gonna turn, like the social media anoraks, turn their backs on the manager quickly just because they've lost 1 or 2 games and 1 or 2 players aren't playing up to scratch? It wasn't fair how he was hounded out in the end, and I feel that he should, if he was still here now, he would have done everything possible to turn it around, in my opinion. He was definitely the man for the job. But, form tells. And this player FC cult thing, it won't work everywhere. It's working at Barcelona now, but whether it will succeed over time is a different matter altogether. I want to really see, particularly, how Barcelona do under Xavi in the next few year or so. If he's still there after a year, that will tell you something.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, we don't want to turn this into an Ollie debate, but I will just quickly say, because I'm fairly new to this side of the channel, I am very similar to you, Ahmed. I think Ollie's done a very decent job. To finish 3rd and 2nd with the squad that we had, and let's see what we finish with a new manager. Will we finish 3rd and 2nd again in cup finals and semi-finals? I'm not saying he was absolutely great, but I think he did a better job than what he probably had credit for, especially on social media. We're going to move on to our second subject, and this is something that I want to discuss. Just quite light-hearted. We can just whip around the panel. Just coming towards the end of international duty now. It makes you think of former England players of old who wore a United shirt. Just who's our favourite? Not necessarily who's the best or anything like that, but just who's our favourite England international, and then maybe we can say foreign international as well, foreign player as well. So I'll make a start. It was mentioned in the private chat before we started. I think there's only one for me. It's my era, 90s, early noughties. It's David Beckham. I know someone's already mentioned that, but for me, yeah, absolutely, David Beckham. He just had absolutely everything going for him. He went from one of the most hated people in England at the time, being a Man United player who got sent off in a World Cup, to 4 years later, absolutely, the whole country loved him, and things he done off the pitch as well. He just has that whole aura about him. So for me, my favourite player to play for England as a Man United player would be David Beckham. Hammer, just come on to you. I know you're not English, but you can still answer the question. Who are you thinking?
Well, I can give you both of them really quick because they're a pair. And for me, it's just because it's a lot because of the position, and the foreign one is because of the way he played. And there's Rio and Vidic. I freaking love both of them, and Vidic mostly because that's like when I did play football, and also when I played American football, that's how I played. Like I don't really give a shit. I'll go head first into a cleat. I'll go head first into a shot. It doesn't really matter to me. So that's why I love him. So I'll do the two of them.
Go on, Vicky. Are you? Go on. I'll let you answer.
Well, my favourite England. Oh, no, because it's not my favourite player, but my favourite, but the one that I admire most is John Terry. As much as I actually personally don't have a liking to him, he was the best England defender we've ever had. I'm just not a fan of him personally, but that was like if I had to admire someone, that's who I'm admiring. Okay.
How about a Man United player then?
Gary Neville.
I don't mind Gary. I love listening to Gary Neville now. I think I look back and I look at the overlaps of him and David Beckham on that right hand side, and I've got a lot of time for Gary Neville. Ahmed, how about yourself, mate?
You put me on the spot here, John. Genuinely, there's too many. Yes, there's too many for me to tick off, and I could sit here for hours naming everyone and who those who are under the radar. I'm only 27, by the way, but I'm sure this will be a fan favorite for many a United fan. In the 80s, he ran the show. He was captain fantastic. And I don't think there was a day where you watched the man wearing the number 7 running across the pitch, not giving us a hoot about who the players were, what the reputation was, or what status he was. He'll get at you, he'll tackle you, he'll harry you all day. His offensive ability was amazing. And for England, he was a valuable asset. And it told at points when we missed him at the World Cup in '86. I may be a little young, but even I know how important Brian Robson was. And without a shadow of a doubt, he applied the amazing tenacity and energy to the England team. So for me, he's not my number one favourite player of all time. But if we're talking England internationals that stood out for me while representing Manchester United, Brian Robson stands out for me. And he definitely is my favourite England player. Internationally, a bit more modern now, and I mean we have to talk about Bruno Fernandez. The man just scored two goals against North Macedonia to take Portugal to the World Cup, and ever since he arrived at Old Trafford, he's been a breath of fresh air. He's been the centre of a lot of the the stats wars, and also like the battle between him and Kevin De Bruyne as to who's the best number 10 in the league. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care what the critics say. For me, he's the best international player that I've seen at this club. Ronaldo's pushing him for a close second. But simply because before he joined United, he was an amazing player at Sporting Lisbon. He was a talent to watch. He had such a great knack for shooting from distance, great with the ball at his feet, a dead ball specialist. And then ever since he's come to United, he's taken that and harnessed it to on a much bigger stage. So Bruno Fernandez, for me, my best international player.
Go on, John. We'll finish off with yourself regarding England player, and then we'll do.
I didn't realise we were meant to do the international one together.
No, we'll make sure I'll come back to it. Yeah, no problem. Have a think of an international player.
Oh yeah, I've picked someone, but yeah.
So you just want me to name the English player then, John?
It's up to you. We'll go through.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the best England player I think ever was Charlton, but for me, my personal favourite though. No word of lie, it's Paul Scholes. Absolutely love Paul Scholes, the way he played the game. Honestly, for me, all the great players I've seen in the flesh, if there was one player I'd pay to see again, it would be Paul Scholes. He was just a magician, the way he sprayed passes all over the pitch. He was just an absolutely brilliant player, and I don't think United ever replaced him. I mean, we speak about Fergie, not Fergie's retirement. We've not built from there. We never replaced Paul Scholes either, in my opinion. But probably my favourite foreign player, if you call it that, was the player who played alongside him for many years, and that was Roy Keane.
Yeah.
So those were my two personal favourites.
Yeah, back in the day, that's when like you had like Scholes and Keane, and you'd always put them against like Vieira or Petit or someone like that. You never like pick them off against each other. I think we spoke about Player FC earlier, either before the show or after the show. I can't remember, but yeah, and back then those two was a massive force, and absolutely love it. Go on, Vicky, your favourite international player then?
Oh, can we take a guess? I think it's got to be a 28-year-old, very tall, handsome, peachy person who's France's current captain and a World Cup winner, and that is Raphael Varane. There we go.
I think you've summed up why he's your favourite in that description right there. And I can see why, but I'm going to say one of another Frenchman. It could either be Cantona, because I just loved him on the pitch. I was slightly too young to actually watch him live, because I didn't start going to Old Trafford until I was in my teens, whereas I think he was gone by then. However, I would throw out, if you're talking about Frenchmen, I would throw out Patrice Evra as well, purely because of after he was great on the pitch, don't get me wrong, but since he's left, and the little videos he does and little interviews every now and again,
and we have to sort of more admire the way that he was sort of thrown under the bus with all the controversy of I forget which World Cup it was, but when he was captain and they refused to play for those particular reasons, and they sort of tried to blame
South Africa, I think it was.
Yeah, that I think you're right. So I was very pregnant. That's all I remember. I was very hot and I was very pregnant.
back to the current day then, John. Let's start off with your topic then. Are we better off long term without getting top four? Let's bring this in.
Yeah, because I've been thinking about this, because obviously we've had an absolutely shambolic season so far, and I think if we were to get the top four likely at this moment, it's not particularly well deserved, because we've been awful this season. But the reason I wanted to bring this debate in was, we need a major reset, big major reset. Obviously, we're going to select the new manager soon. Obviously, Ten Hag's the favourite at the moment. But I suppose it's where are we at the moment, which is the bigger question. And, we've gone 5 years without winning a trophy. And we're nowhere near competing for a title, the league title. And I just think maybe next season, do we really expect to do very much in the Champions League next season? I don't think so. We might reach the knockouts like we did this season. I can't see us winning it. Whereas the Europa League is probably something which we could potentially win. We can't, beggars can't be choosers, because we have gone 5 years without winning a trophy. And you have to look at it and say, where are we? And I think that, unfortunately, at this present moment, is our level, because we're not good enough to compete for the top trophies. Yeah, we could possibly compete for a League Cup and an FA Cup if we have a good run. But for me, it's a question of, like I say, where are we exactly, and where do we need to start in order to build back up? And I think getting Ten Hag in would be a brilliant appointment, futuristic-wise. I don't want us to be in Europa League long-term, but I think maybe, on the balance of things, maybe we're better off being outside the top four this season, so that we can build properly over the next 2 to 3 years or so.
Go on, Hammer. What's your thoughts on what John's just said?
When we were talking about this top four, I didn't really know. I was going to say that I don't think we should be out of the top four, just because of what United is and like what we're supposed to be competing for. And I, taking what you said there, I kind of, get the point you were making. And I get the point, right? It's going to be better for rebuilding, and it's not as much pressure without Champions League, because you can just worry about getting through whatever it is you're going to get through. And then in terms of the trophy, yeah, I get that point. I just don't know. It's honestly a big part of it too that creeps into the back of my head is a Ronaldo thing. Ronaldo playing in the Europa League is going to give people some like a freaking aneurysm, and it'll be, you know what I'm saying, like that'll be a shit show. But I get the point you're making. Something in me just, like, and I'm somebody who doesn't mind like change, and I understand struggle and all that. Like sometimes I bring in American sports and stuff, but I'm a fan to some shitty teams, so I definitely understand like you need to build something. It takes time and everything like that. But just whatever it is, maybe it's because it's Manchester United. I don't think we need to. I think we do need to get Champions League. Even just, and also in terms of building, right? Even if you want to say building the players and signing the right players and stuff, I think certain players that we're going to want to get might be hesitant if we're in Europa League. Just for things like that.
Yeah, yeah. If I just kind of just jump in as well, I do see John's point, but I can't imagine us not in Champions League, and I do kind of agree with Hammer in that sense where, we should always be in top four. We should be able to rebuild and be in top four. And I mean, Hammer, do you worry that Ronaldo might leave if that was the case? Everyone talks about Ronaldo leaving, and if we don't make top four, could you see that happening?
I mean, yeah, I was worried about that before, like earlier in the season when things started to look a lot more shaky. And I think, they supposedly said he's going to commit and try to stay, but he did say to try to stay and do something in Champions League. So, if we do drop out, I don't know how it'll work out, but it is Ronaldo, and he can probably force whatever he wants to force out in terms of a move or whatever. But yeah, I don't think he'd be too happy if we drop into Europa League. I mean, goddamn, people call him Champions League Ronaldo for, what I'm saying? Like, that just that'll mess up branding, marketing, money, everybody. Like, everybody's not going to be happy.
Yeah, go on, Ahmed. What are your thoughts before I bring Vicky in?
For the record, I love the Europa League. Should get respect for that it deserves, in my opinion. I think we should have won it last season and the season before.
Kick away.
And I'm gonna just because we actually it gives us a chance to try to experiment, give the youth an opportunity, express let them express themselves. They'll never get most of them will never get an opportunity to do it in a Premier League game unless they really demonstrate like an ability in training. Like Ranić has introduced Alanga to the first team, and it also sometimes like it's not. I don't like to say this in like a negative connotation, but the last time we didn't make it to the Champions League in 2019, the Glazers hit the panic button and let Oli buy players. So if we end up missing out on top four this season, and again, I'm not tempting fate here. I just want to see how the season pans out before making my conclusion. But if we were to miss out on top four, I don't see harm in this. In us dropping in there. It's a harder competition to be in though than compared to what it was before when we were in there a couple of seasons ago. So my concern is that if we do go into the Europa League, we do need to be careful of how we treat the competition. It's going to mess up the schedule, obviously. Getting into the top four though, I think will sort of be a blessing and a curse. It will be a blessing because we stay in the Champions League. We still have something to contribute to attracting talent in the summer. But the curse is how competitive can we be? We can't rely on Ronaldo to bail us out as he did this season numerous times in the competition. My honest feeling is we are better off just playing the kids for the rest of the season. If we fall out into the Europa League, so be it. Let's not get into the Conference League because that's even worse. But if we get Champions League, we're not exactly going to be well equipped for it unless the right players are brought in and there's a motivated unity in chasing at least the quarterfinals for a start. So that's my feelings, but I think we're better off challenging for the Europa League than we are trying to get in Champions League this next season. That's me.
Okay. Go on, Vicky.
Oh, I was just thinking those are some interesting comments. I'm fine with a pre-weekend starter of a Thursday and a Sunday fun day. I'm not sure if I want Man United being in the Europa League. But I will say that I think with the decision that the people that have been working with Ronaldo have, I do believe that his agent and stuff has spun it. Like, if you stay at Man United, and then United have spoken to them, and sort of Will spun it off, going, you still sell shirts and everything else, and you're a great player and a great asset. So stay at United for the rest of your contract. And I guess in my head, I think his full focus is now going to be, I haven't won the World Cup. I want to win the World Cup. So him staying with Man United might help that, as long as we get the right midfield. I feel like if you're going to protect the defence and the new midfield, it all depends on that. And if it's going to happen, then that will be great, like a Declan Rice or someone like that, to also help feed the ball forward for Ronaldo. If that's what we're talking about, Ronaldo and top 4 next season, I think that's one of the attributes that you would have to be thinking of, because it's a very tricky thing to be talking about with United's future, because we haven't got a manager. We don't know who we're signing. We want to strip quite a lot of the team. We're losing quite a few players. So when we talk about next season, I feel like we're going into it like a blank canvas. But regarding Ronaldo's future, that's what I believe that will be his main focus, is trying to win the World Cup.
I think that's a fair point. I was going to throw a few of Tyrone's comments on screen as well. Champions League football is only good for the Glazers. Top 4 only allows us to make up the numbers. I do get that. I do. I can't see us winning the Champions League at the moment, but it's one of those where you've got to be in it to win it at least. I do get that. Quite a few comments on here. John, just while I'm putting these comments on screen, a couple of people have mentioned tonight about the schedule changing. And obviously, if we do start playing the Sunday, John, that would affect me and you personally. I know Andrew Wall's already mentioned it.
True. That's true. Well, I remember saying that it would affect the schedule. There's a big thing that affects the schedule. It's called the World Cup in the autumn, which affects the schedule massively, doesn't it? So, by the way, I'm not saying that I don't want us to finish in the top 4, right? I think if we have a good run between now and the end of the season and we finish the top 4, I want us to win every game. If we win every game, it's unlikely, but if we do, we probably will finish in the top 4. But my point is that, it's like I made research. I'm saying that maybe Europa League is not that bad an option. I mean, the other factor we got to bear in mind also is that we speak regularly about how good we got youngsters as well. And maybe if you're in the Europa League, you could maybe allow a couple of them to come through and get that competitive experience, playing against, lesser teams in Europe. Potentially that could be a good thing. Again, if you were to get Ten Hag in, he's very good at developing youth, obviously, because he's at Ajax. And I think that could be a benefit. So either way, I just think with the whole season, it's been, a disaster from where we were expecting to be at the start of the season, where we are and what we can achieve now. It's, a spectacular fall from grace almost. But I do think that it'll be interesting what happens. And also the other factor is traditionally we spend more money when we're outside the top 4 than when we're in the top 4 as well. That's another thing we've got to bear in mind. But I'm not a huge fan of football on Thursday nights, but it's just looking objectively where we are and what is best for us at the moment. But hopefully we'll have a good end to the season, but we'll just see what happens. I don't think Europa League is something we should fear specifically, really.
And John, just one last point for yourself there. Obviously, playing on a Sunday means that it clashes with the women's team as well. So we'd both be screwed, wouldn't we? Because we can't get to both matches, John. So I don't know what you'd have to do there, but you'd have to find a solution somehow.
Of course.
We're going to move on. We're going to move on to the penultimate topic. So we haven't spoken about Cavani yet, and it's a great one that Hammer wants to bring up. I think it's a great point. I think he was loved by so many people in that first season, and I think, don't get me wrong, I think he's still got his in mind, but he's gone from one extreme to the other, hasn't he, Hammer?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's weird for me right now. I was one of the people who loved him too, right? The passion he showed, and like he was only here in that first season. It was like he seemed like he wanted to die for the shirt already, and we just haven't seen that a lot in recent seasons. And then this season, it just seems not only just on the field in terms of right, like he's not being as effective as he was last season, in terms of him being the type of poacher that he is, but also in terms of his attitude. Like it feels like every week he's getting some type of little knock. He's going back home. He's going on some type of break, something. And for some of them were for a little bit ridiculous reasons, in my opinion, in terms of, like what you expect from athletes and everything. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's weird for me. And the only thing that can come into my head is like, was he affected with the Ronaldo thing coming in? Because I think some players were affected with Ronaldo coming in. But then even then I was like, I don't really see that because he's played with him and other big name strikers, whether right in terms of any other team that he's played with. So I wasn't really sure if that's what it was, but yeah, man, it's really weird for me. It seems like he's gotten annoyed for something that may have happened that maybe we don't know, that was like behind the scenes, and he just doesn't give a shit anymore this season.
Yeah. Go on, Ahmed. I want to hear your thoughts on what's happened to Cavani, because it is really one extreme to the other, isn't it?
I just want to say, Vicky has someone at the ready to pour her a drink at leisurely pace. It's wonderfully prepared, I have to say.
It's best mate Eddie. That's what he's good for.
Lovely. It's fabulous. It really is. I wish I had that facility at my house. Yeah.
It's not that. It's my 11-year-old. It's
Cavani. Very handy. Cavani. Well, I'll be honest with you. I think he's one of the best strikers I've ever seen play football. If anything, in the last 15 years, he's been the best poacher in the world. If you put it in one of the best poachers in the world, along with Ronaldo, Suarez, Ibrahimovic, Van Persie, for me, like off the top of my head, those are the best poachers I can think of. Drogba, even, let's say that. Lewandowski, oh yes. There's so many. He's been up there, knocking off records with ease, scoring all kinds of goals, big game player, gives everything for the cause. I thought when he came to Man United, there's a bit of cynicism about it because everyone's focused on Sancho. United should pay the money for him. And then they just sort of, well, we haven't got this guy, so let's just get someone else in. Let's put this guy in. And obviously, we didn't see a lot of him in the first few weeks. But I think after he grew into the shirt, fans loved him. He was scoring very important goals. Southampton's fought on the forefront of my mind when I think about Cavani, that diving header to win it at the end. Those are the moments for me that I think encapsulated our courtship to him in that sense. We loved the guy. He gave everything. And I think we were hoping to see something along the same lines this season, if it was just for one season. And it's sad, really, but unfortunately, he's slowly but surely becoming for me a mercenary at the club. Not completely. I'm sure he still has the morals of a player that still wants to give everything, wants to push his best, to give his best to help everyone out. A point that Mike D's made in the comments here could teach the youngsters as well. A lot of I won't say his name here, but the unspoken one, he helped him out a lot last season, develop his finishing, develop his ability in the box. Coach, yeah.
No. Huh? I was being corny.
I
said Voldemort.
A bit like that. The unspeakable one, yeah. He helped him out a lot, and obviously that developed his game even as he was growing into it. Ultimately, I feel we've sort of lost a little bit of that this season because of his injuries, because of his time out this year. I feel we could have got more out of him. And it's a shame that when he does leave, we will obviously miss him greatly. He did his best to contribute for the cause. I wish he could do more. I hope he can do more in the final 9 games before he leaves the club. But I'll only remember Cavani for last season. I won't remember him for this one because he's definitely been a bit more of a liability this year than he was last year.
Yeah, go on, John. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I absolutely love Cavani last season in particular because he was a breath of fresh air in many ways. His attitude on the pitch. I do think he hasn't really settled in England overall. I don't think, if you remember last season, you remember when he was banned for that racist remark, which is obviously intended as a compliment in his native Uruguay, and I think that unsettled him a lot probably. And I think he's never really grasped British culture, and I just think this way he had thoughts he was wants to move Spain, Uruguay, Argentina because their culture is more aligned to what he's used to rather than the English culture. And I just think that this season I think Ronaldo coming in hasn't helped his cause really, but I mean that wasn't a few weeks ago where we played 94 games since he came, and he's not been available for 39 of them. So you're talking about 40%, possibly even pushing 50% of games that he's not been available for. Now, no matter how good a player is, you can't deal with that. It's very difficult to handle. And I do think it was possibly a panic buy because he was a free agent and we were the only club who gave him a contract, wasn't it, at the time? And don't get me wrong, he's been a superb centre forward. For me, Ronaldo's a better goal scorer, but Cavani's better number 9 in terms of his general play, being awkward with defenders and all that. But I do sense he checked out a bit from December. I personally think he wanted away in January and he was, asked to stay to help the team, and he hasn't been the same since. So, yeah, I think he'll obviously leave in the summer, and I think it's probably best for both sides if he does.
Tyrone and Mike D putting some good comments in about Cavani and potentially coaching and some of the youngsters as well. John, just sticking with you with this question before I move on to Vicky. United shouldn't be relying on the likes of Cavani. He's too old. The youngsters have coaches to teach them. And they talked about Matic and Mata. We don't need to go into a big debate on this because we've only got about 5-10 minutes left of the show. However, what are your thoughts on that? Very annoying that Mata and Matic are still at the club. There's obviously a professional reason for that. Time to move these guys on. I do agree that they need to be moved on so we can get some of the youngsters in, give them some game time. However, is Mata and Matic there to actually coach some of these youngsters? I know they're not getting game time, but they're obviously there for a reason. And are they there, John, just to coach some of the youngsters more than get game time?
Yeah, that could be the way. I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was Matic or Mata who said earlier in the season that they were training, for coaching badges and that. I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Mata. But yeah, it is worrying out for me. I absolutely love Juan Mata. I don't think we've fully used his strengths and his qualities of footballer during his whole time at United, but really he should have gone at least 2 years ago, possibly 3 or 4 years ago. And I do think that we're not going to give him a new contract, so he probably will be gone now in the summer. And as for Matic, I think he's probably staying because we haven't bought a midfielder, and the other two that play there in the position of Fred and McTominay, and they're not established defensive midfielders, and they're better off more in the box-to-box role rather than defence. And Matic, even though his legs has gone, is possibly the best player in that position, or as he can't play every game. That's why we've kept him. That's why we're desperate for a CDM, and I do think it'll be interesting. So, we got James Garner at Nottingham Forest at the moment. What will happen again if whoever the new manager is, if it is Ten Hag, will he be kept? Will he get game time next season, or will he be moving on? I suspect we will probably buy a midfielder. Obviously, there's thought we might get Declan Rice potentially, even though he's top of our transfer list. The reports from this week, whether we will is another thing, but we certainly need a couple of players in that midfield, and I think it will probably be best to move Mata on at the end of the season.
Go on, Ahmed.
Yeah. Listen, understand that I think he's a terrific player and he's a magnificent talent, Declan Rice, and I'd love to see him in a United shirt. But I would have brought this up tonight as my topic, but I decided to go with something else. So I'm going to briefly touch on it. I don't want to see marquee signings or players with heavy transfer fees being levied on them to try to come to United now, because I think we've learned a few lessons from past transfers. Di Maria being one, which stands out off the top of my head. Falcao may have been on loan, but we could have bought him permanently, and those were two that scarred me. Memphis Depay as well. I thought he was going to be a fantastic talent, but he's only gone and proved that in Barcelona. I want to see players who, I just think, high risk, potential, high reward opportunity there. I want to see that from them. And I thought Declan Rice is a terrific player, and I think he's got the world at his feet. If he ever does join United, I'll be happy for him. But there's a lot of value in the transfer market, and I feel United can improve the team without having to break the bank, to say the least. For me, that's something I think we should hope to say. I hope they focus on in the future, and it's good to be linked with the world's best players. We should always, be aiming to get the best in the world. But for my honest, just for once, just think about some squad. You need a squad. You need not just 11 great players. You need a team behind that team. And I want to see a squad capable of, one day one marquee player's injured, get him in to do the job. I want to see that. I feel we're going to miss a lot of that when the players leave this summer.
Vicky, what's your thoughts on the last 10 minutes, what you've heard? Obviously, Cavani, Mata, Matic, what are your thoughts on these players?
I will say that Matic is always saying that he's always learning still. Obviously, he has not got the long legs, but he's still saying that every experience that he's having right now with playing for Man United, he's always learning. And he enjoys it when the youth have contacted him and have been asking him for advice. When it comes to Cavani, I think, you've checked out. So what's the point? I even thought when I saw him with Sancho and Rashford, and, when they scored that 93rd minute goal, that was the last time I ever saw Cavani saying, well, I'm committed to Man United. The way he was encouraging Rashford to get to the point where for once he wasn't offside. And things like that, but he's played 17 games this season, and that's all he's done. And he's scored 4 goals. I want to say 3, 4 goals. That's all Cavani's done. Yeah. But other than that, when it comes to player wages, obviously we've got that all those extra taxes. When you come to being United, you have to pay that little bit extra. It's always going to happen. We are having a massive bump down on wages. Like half of the top players that we have are leaving. So we are going to drop that way, keep that board happy for a minute, and then just say, well, we've bumped all this down. Within 2 minutes, you've talked them over to spending a ton of money this season just for that. Because I think when it comes to United and the board, and I think when it comes to the Glazers and stuff, they're fine with that wage cap. They don't complain about it. They said that, so when it comes to all this increasement in wages, we're going to be buying a fair few. Well, I hope we're buying a fair few because it's going to be the way it is. And that's the way United are now. I know people would love it if we dropped into like the Liverpool mentality of keeping a wage bracket like this. I'm pretty sure that everybody else would love that. But we're obviously we are the biggest club in the world. You go and search things up, and one of the first places you look is Man United. So, and everybody, you can be in any country in the world and say, "Oh, this is Man United." They'll know exactly who you are, because and that's why we always have to spend so much extra money. But thank you very much for having me on tonight. I had a lot of fun.
We haven't quite finished yet. We've just got one topic left.
Oh my God, that's so rude of me as well.
No, we're near there. I mean, I never mentioned it in the private chat, but he has with the show.
I thought he just did it with the wage cap.
No, that was just a bonus. That was just a bonus.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thinking we're seals off there.
I'm sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. Go on, Ahmed. I mean, you bring a good point. You know, we get into the business end of the season now. Go on, bring in your topic, mate.
Well, I thought, because I've struggled all day, if I'm honest with you, to think of anything to bring to the topic. If I was going to be on the show last time, it would have been on after the Atletico game, so I would have brought up Spanish opposition and our struggles against them. But I thought tonight, because we've got what is now we are basically in the end game. This is where I start to feel we have to start taking things seriously. We're currently sat in 6th place in the Premier League, 4 points off of the top 4. Arsenal have a game in hand on Manchester United. Their games in hand, though, have played Liverpool already. So they have to play Chelsea and Tottenham in their final 10 games. We've only got 9. And in our final 9, we have off the top, like just to tick them off, Leicester, Everton, Norwich, Liverpool away, Arsenal away, Brentford at home, Brighton away, Chelsea at home, and Crystal Palace on the last day of the season. Realistically, we have 4 home, 5 away. Realistically, I don't see us getting a lot of points in these games. If we're to make it to the top 4, the real ambition is we win all these games. Now, I know we're not going to do that because this is Man United. The team that's currently playing right now isn't exactly going to be able to play at 120% every game from now until May. So, the reason I brought up this topic is obviously we brought up the Europa League. We put with the potential of not being able to get into the top 4. We have to consider obviously who we're playing in that final few games. My worries are, I genuinely don't see us getting there on the basis that there are teams that are going to really give us a hard time. Let's not forget, we dodged a bullet not playing Liverpool the time that we did. But it'll be even worse at the time we did. But now it'll be even worse because they're chasing the title and we've got to go there to pick up something to try and stay in the hunt. So it'll be easy, but it starts this Saturday against Leicester. And I'm hoping we can do something.
Yeah, go on, John.
I think we are due to go on a good run at some point this season. I think this presents a good opportunity. The pitch, I think Leicester, obviously they've caused us issues the last few games, but obviously they did the preview show before. But I think Vardy and Diddy are obviously big misses for them. I think hopefully. And they might have their eye on Thursday night because they're in the Conference League, aren't they? So I think it's an opportunity for us to, at Old Trafford, to get a win. Everton at Goodison will be a tough game. We know they're in a battle for relegation at the moment. So, but on the face of it, on form, we should probably go there and win. Should in inverted commas, but and then we got Norwich, Old Trafford, so it allows us to build a bit of momentum potentially if we can focus on the next 2 or 3 games, and then you get the 2 big ones, the Liverpool away and the Arsenal away. And I think the day after we play Liverpool away, Arsenal go to Chelsea as well. And I think that could potentially be the week where you look at it, that's when the top four will be decided. I think that's, if we can get a few wins in that, the next few games, I think that's the week to look out for, where it'll be decided either way. Because Arsenal do have some tricky games. I know they're 4 points ahead with the game in hand, but they still have some difficult fixtures to face themselves. So nothing's a given. But obviously we're up against it now. But let's focus on getting a win on Saturday, and then we'll just take it from there. Then.
Yeah, I agree with most of what y'all are saying too, and I think there's after Ahmed read off the teams that we have there right now, I think there's certain teams we should definitely be going in to try and get 3 points. But of course, we all know you never know what side of the coin you're going to get with this team. But what I'm hoping is that there is partially some mentality and leadership in terms of Ronaldo and Bruno and some people like that. And then also just for some of the stuff that's happened in the struggles that we've had recently in the season, whether it's Maguire or even Shaw and them and Rashford too. Hopefully some of these players who have been getting some criticism and some stick will also come into this last part of the season and actually put on some stuff just to prove some people wrong. So yeah, hopefully we can get some of the wins in those smaller games and go into some of those bigger teams, Liverpool and shit like that, and maybe not get the win, but get something from it and screw them over in terms of getting the title, because that's just a pain in the ass to think about.
Yeah, go on, Vicky. Would you like to end the show? Can you see us getting above Arsenal? I mean, is it Arsenal that's going to be our main contenders? Do you think?
Well, it's funny that, because if you ever speak to an Arsenal fan or a Spurs fan, they all go, it depends what team is coming to perform. I think some of them are actually doing the Arteta way, which I know probably will upset one person in the comment, like Delboy or someone, because from what I've seen on his channel, he's very Arteta-like out. But he's been doing this build-up of the squad where he's been taking them out for afternoon dinner or lunch or something together to try and build up that bond. And ever since then, it seems to have brought them more together, as much as it will annoy people. But I've just noticed that they've got some very, very tricky teams. So they've got Crystal Palace, then they've got Brighton, Southampton. And I think Southampton are just so much of a bogey team for everyone, no matter whom. But then they have Chelsea, us, West Ham, and that will be pretty big for them. And then they've got Leeds, so they'll probably win that. They got Newcastle, so they'll probably win that. And then they have Everton, so they'll probably win that. So yeah, I think when I agree with John, the Chelsea game is going to be the change of format that we'll probably know that how the top four will go. Because when it comes to Man United right now, some players are completely switched off and things like that. I wish it wasn't the case. I do believe that Bruno and Fred are really sort of showing some good playing of football at the moment. So it will be interesting. What I am interested in just saying is that I'm not entirely sure that we deserve top four. But I do believe once we have a manager is once we know everything. But I'm sure that's like everybody else in the comments here will go, the minute United make a decision, that's it.
Vicky,
it should also be said that Arsenal game in hand is at White Hart Lane as well. So they both can't win that. So and I think also Arsenal have to go to West Ham away as well. So so basically they got 4 North London derbies away from home: Palace, Chelsea, West Ham, and Tottenham. So I still think it's more open than what people are saying at the moment. But obviously we've got tricky games. We got Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea ourselves, but you never know. But it also helps for United, because I think that Liverpool away game is the only midweek game we've got as well. as well. So it's just a straight run until the end of the season, virtually. So hopefully we'll pick up some points.
But at least playing Arsenal is in our own hands as well. So at least in that sense, not in our own hands, but it kind of like, even though it's a tough game, it's like one of those 6 pointers, so to speak. So at least we can try and take points off them. At least it's us going for them. Go on, Hammer. What was you going to say? Sorry, mate.
No, it's just real quick, and I know you guys want to. We're ending this soon. I just want to say some of the comments that people are saying there in terms of the players who are getting too crying about, upset fans and things like that too much. I mean, I get, and I'm a mental health person too, so like I'm all for that stuff. But this is sports too, right? Like there are going to be people who boo, there are going to be people who get pissed off, and if I don't remember, or if I do remember correctly, I remember when I first started this, I was asking what a comparison of what a description of Liverpool fans would be, right? And it sounded to me like Philadelphia Eagle fans who come in and you go have a 12-year-old yelling "fuck you," and their dad's right next to them cheering them on for yelling "fuck you" to you, right? Like I'm a Knicks fan. Last season we had the team we lost to the playoffs had the entire New York City people, Madison Square Garden, yelling "fuck Trae Young." And this kid was literally walking in Madison Square Garden, rolling his shoulders. Like, it's part of sports, and I get it, right? Some things, maybe sometimes it's annoying and stuff, but yeah, players got to get a little more thick skin in terms of sports.
Absolutely, and that's a good way to kind of end the show. I hope that the last 10 minutes kind of helped you there. I don't know if you're more at ease now about just making top 4 or not. I'm a little bit dubious, to be honest. I'm a little bit worried this season.
Can I just add that there's I don't even hate doing this. There's not many likes. Can we? If you're in the comments, can you just give it a like?
Yeah. So if you watch the show after it's live, because I know it's late and a few people have probably gone to bed, but if you watch it tomorrow morning or this morning, depending on what time you're going to be waking up, absolutely.
I think these lads all deserve a like. That's all. Thank you.
And Vicky deserves the likes for staying on an extra 10 minutes as well.
Was my internet really bad for those 10 minutes?
No, it's fine.
No, it was good.
Absolutely fine. No, really great show tonight.
We
really
should give likes for her getting drinks during the show. That for me is entertaining.
I've had to pour my own.
Aspect of the night, honestly. Just give likes for that. That's something.
Did you do that, Eddie? You get a like. You get a like. He's a boring person, so.
Ahmed Hammond, lovely to meet you. Great to do a show with you. Hopefully, do it again very soon. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, John, and thank you to everybody in the comments. And we'll catch you next week. Probably going to be 10 o'clock. So we'll see you then. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.